Welcome to the Dodger Download, the official podcast of the Fort Dodge Community School District. Each episode brings you the latest updates from our schools, including school board recaps, interviews with educators, staff, and students, plus upcoming events and stories from around the district. Whether you're a parent, student, or community member, stay connected to what's happening in the Dodger Nation. Let's dive into this episode of the Dodger Download.
Welcome to the Dodger Download. I'm Superintendent Josh Porter, and we're excited to have two retiring teachers from Fort Dodge Community Schools with us today. Whether you're a parent, student, or just a proud Dodger, we're excited that you're here. This podcast is proudly sponsored by CNOS and UnityPoint Orthopedics, valued partners of Fort Dodge Community Schools. Their commitment to student athletes' health helps keep our program strong and our kids competing safely. Thank you for supporting Dodger Nation. All right, before we dive into today's episode, it's time for some board tidbits. So our podcast always follows a school board meeting. Last night we had a school board meeting. We recognize some of our volunteers, a lot of elementary volunteers through their booster clubs who do a lot to support, during Teacher Appreciation Week or just little projects that they're doing to support the kiddos throughout the school year. Also, Fort Dodge has a huge tradition for art appreciation awards. And so there's always an elementary, middle school, and a high school student. Their art gets selected by a teacher. That art is the school board buys their art from them for $100. So we presented the student with a $100 check and a plaque, and then their art actually gets hung up in central office. And so the only downfall is we're starting to run out of room at central office. We've been doing this for so long that we're starting to run out of room. So we're trying to figure out what to do with some of the older pictures. And we haven't really come up with a plan yet. We have room for these three that we awarded last night, but we have a little bit of work to do here coming up to be able to get the rest of them in there. Outside of that, we had about 4 action items that all related to the bond. And this is really high level, like nerdy financial stuff that Brandon Hansel dealt with. That was either resolutions for the bond money and then tax exempt stuff. And so very low stuff. The one main other topic that we had at the board meeting last night was technology purchase. So, you guys may not know, but soon we're going to be releasing some information to our staff, and then we'll release it to our parents. But we're really going to start the process of drawing back technology. So legislation recently limited technology screen time for pre-K through 5th graders to 60 minutes a day maximum, unless you have some type of an accommodation or an IEP. But really, through some conversations with our teachers at the middle school and our middle school administration, we're gonna draw back, and we're not going to be a one-to-one building anymore. And Joan at the middle school probably is shaking her head like, "Yep, it's not a bad thing." And I think philosophically, I think we all believe and know that being in front of a teacher and paper and pencil are some of the best practices that you can have. And we can't control technology and screen time outside of school, but we do believe that in school time we can do that. And while we remove phones, there's still distractions from computers, and kids like to play games. They like to try to communicate with each other. So we just felt like from a middle school perspective that was going to be our best approach. So we did approve purchasing MacBook Neos, which is a cycle that goes to all of our 10th graders. So we're purchasing MacBook Neos for our 10th graders, which will be real popular when they find out they're a really good computer. They stay charged a long time. And we're purchasing new computers and carts for 6th grade. So ultimately, we just won't have computers sitting in class. We won't have computers sitting in kids' hands all day. But teachers that still want to use computers for instruction will have an opportunity to grab a cart, bring it in, use it for instruction, talk to their peers in the pod, and work on a plan of when they can rotate and use that. Because there are some teachers that just don't use it at all. And so now they won't have to deal with kids having it in their hand all day. So I think something that we can all get behind a little bit.
Absolutely.
I'm super excited to have on today's episode 2 of our retiring teachers. We have Susan Winter, currently teaching at Feelhaver Elementary, 1st grade. And we have Joan Ascherl, who's our vocal music instructor and leader of our middle school musical at Fort Dodge Middle School. So super simple, guys. We're going to start off. We'll start off with you, Susan. Just how many years you've been teaching? I know you teach 1st grade at Feelhaver. Just would like to know your teaching background a little bit.
All right. I have been teaching 33 years. My first 5 years were at St. Edmund. And then I went to Feelhaver, and I've been at Feelhaver for 28 years.
Wow.
So I taught kindergarten for 20 years, and now I have taught first grade for the last 8 years.
Last 8 years.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Joan?
Well, I first started teaching in a little school district called Akron-Westfield in western Iowa, 500 people, 512 job, and it wasn't a full-time job. So I was desperate because my husband was finishing college, so I was like, we have to be close enough to Sioux City, and so it's about a half an hour away, and learned a lot.
Yeah.
And so then right after that, I transferred to Mason City Newman High School and taught there. I taught high school vocal music for 10 years there, and I've been here for 29, so this is my 40th year of teaching.
40th year.
40 years. It doesn't even seem possible. So,
Yeah. Do you guys remember your first day of teaching?
yes.
Your first day or your first year a little bit?
I remember, yes. I don't remember my first day, but I remember my first year, I taught half-day kindergarten just till noon. So I taught every day from 8 to noon, and then I went home.
Not a
Yeah.
bad gig.
I remember, some of the kids that I had in my class. I see them out and about. Yeah, but just till noon every day.
Yeah.
So,
It's nice.
yeah.
My first, well, I don't really remember my first day. I spoke too quickly when I said I remember my first day. I remember my first week. And I was like all psyched up, and I was like, I'm going to wear the school colors and, going to dress up and everything. And about the second day, I think, of work, I got asked for my hall pass. So I was like, I guess I was only 22. So I was pretty young. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember interviewing for your first job or your interview to come to Fort Dodge?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that a little bit?
I remember I sat at a long table, and I had to sit at the end. And I think there were like 11 principals all the way around the table, and they all got to ask me one question. But it was, yeah. And I did not get the job.
And you did not get the job?
Nope, I did not get the job.
First time?
That's like me. My first time interviewing here, I didn't get it either. And it was about 5 people. And it was in the old administration building I think it's still downtown. Is it the one that there's something in that? It's like a family services or something.
Oh, yeah.
It's that building. It was old as heck, and it smelled funny. And it was this tiny little room. It wasn't formal at all. I mean, it's not like the boardrooms of today.
Right.
And then I didn't get that job. And that was for a job in Badger. So it wasn't even here, but it was considered, I think Badger was part of the school district back then.
Yeah.
And then flash forward, it was probably about 7 years later, I interviewed with Gary Reiners.
Yep.
And I'm trying to think who else. There was about 4 or 5 people in that room as well. A little more formal.
Yeah, a little bit.
That was at Phillips, the old building.
The old Phillips building.
Got that job. And I took it. And it was kind of exciting, but also scary because I'd only taught for the past 10 years in parochial schools. So I was not used to switching gears into middle school or anything. This was all new to me. And the building was huge. I got lost a lot in that building at first. And they had back staircases, and it was haunted and all this stuff they told me. So I loved it, though. I love that building.
Fun.
I still miss that building every day. I do.
Before we jump into any other questions, though, tell us where'd you go to school growing up, and and what brought you to Fort Dodge if you weren't from here, or what brought you back to Fort Dodge if you're from here?
I graduated from Steamboat Rock.
Yep, I know where
that's at. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was. You had to go through Steamboat Rock to get to Cedar Falls
yes,
for a
you
long
did.
time.
You're right, yeah. Then Highway 20
The Rock
came.
Stop was
The Rock Stop.
Was the gas station you had to
I lived
stop?
right down from the Rock Stop.
Yeah, there you go.
So it was a K-12 school, very small.
Yep.
I had 11 in my graduating class.
Okay.
Then I went to UNI, and I met my husband, Jim.
Yep.
And he was from Fort Dodge. So after we got married, then we moved here.
Yeah.
So.
And I knew Jim long before I necessarily knew you, because
right.
you weren't necessarily my teacher. I went through elementary school at Otho, Iowa.
Okay.
So I grew up in Fort Dodge. I always say Fort Dodge because no one knows where Otho's at.
Right.
But I grew up in, Otho, and went to school there. I had Miss Wormsley.
Oh, sure.
Was my teacher. Miss Cheezick was my third grade teacher. I remember that specifically, some of those things. But I knew Jim through, Parks and Rec and Harlan Rogers growing up.
Harlan
And
Rogers.
my brother worked for him and stuff. So,
Yep.
Joan?
I'm a Fort Dodger. I wasn't born here. I was born in Mason City.
Yeah.
And then my parents moved here in like 67. And so, I just said 6'7". I got to do this.
Yeah, you got to do that. She's at a middle school. That's a natural middle school move.
But then I went to parochial schools. My graduate class, believe it or not, was about 128 at that time at St. Ed's. And then went to Briarcliff College in Sioux City. And then I got my master's from Viterbo. So, but basically moved away and taught elsewhere and came back, like I said, after 11 years of teaching, came back to Fort Dodge.
Yeah, awesome. So you guys have been in education. You guys have been at Fort Dodge teaching a really long time. Mm-hmm. You guys have had, lots of principals have probably passed through your buildings over the years. Mm-hmm. You've probably worked with a lot of different colleagues. Is there anyone or a couple of people that really stand out as like mentors or people that really helped you along in your career along the way?
I had an aunt that was a teacher, and so she kind of inspired me to want to be a teacher. Yeah. But my first few years at St. Edmund, Lois Schreck, Dee Nelson, they were just mentors to me. Yeah. And then when I went to Feelhaver, Linda Whiting was our principal, and she was, so supportive and helped you with anything you needed help with. But I always think it's your coworkers that help shape you too. Yeah. Angie Utley, Jen Cordell, Robin Osterberg, Gail Thompson, we're all.
Robin, that's
Robin,
Yep.
I would say I've had quite a few, but first and foremost, Kathleen Schreier, who used to be Kathleen Kelleher, taught at Iowa Central, but was a St. Ed's teacher, and I had her as my teacher. And actually, my first year of teaching, I'll never forget. It was like Thanksgiving, and I called her and I said, "Can I come over?" And she's like, "Yeah, what's going on?" I said, "I just really need to talk to you." And so I went over and I sat at her kitchen table, and she listened to me, didn't say a word, and I'm bawling. And I'm like, "I don't think I want to be a teacher. This is too hard." And she said, "Do you know how hard your first year of teaching is?" She said, "It's really hard." Yeah. She said, "You're in the right place. You're doing the right thing." Since then, I've had not all of her kids in school, but quite a few. So the table turned when I came here. And I've always been able to call her if I needed something and wasn't sure about something. She's called me now about students and said, "What do you think about this?" And so it's nice to have, someone that's in the same field as you to bounce ideas off of. I've also, Gary Reiners, I go back to him, but man, he was rock solid for me as a principal. I can say this without a shadow of a doubt. He was the best administrator I've ever had in my life because he, and no offense to the ones I have now, it's just, I knew Gary a lot better, and he was always either up in the classroom. He knew about my kids, he knew about my husband, knew where we went over the summer. I got a birthday card from him every year. All the faculty did. And other shout outs like John Bristol, who's no longer with us, John Dahl, Mike Sheeky. Did you have Sheeky in shop class? I had Bristol though for PE at the middle school. Yeah, Bristol was so funny.
He was one of my favorites, and no kids did not think he was funny.
No, he was an ex-Marine or something.
Yes, he was like ex-Marine. And he was like hardcore. Yes. But I loved him. But I think it's because I loved PE, and I was fine with him yelling at me, telling me to keep doing pull-ups. It didn't bother me.
Yeah, he was a different person in the teacher's lounge.
I guarantee.
We all hung out in the teacher's lounge because there was free popcorn during our breaks and our lunch hour. And most of us ate popcorn for lunch because it's like free, so why not?
Right.
But Dick Hansen. We had Roxy Swinson, Kathy Daniel, Nancy Gabriel. And Patty Loads. Or now Patty Zam. I had lots of people. And now I would say Tara Smith and Brian Robinson. Brian's old enough to be my kid, but they're in my department, and we lean on each other big time. It's kind of like I don't know. We should have a couch in our offices at times because we bounce things off each other, and we'll talk things out, about students or what's going on during the school year that's frustrating or we need some help with, and it's just nice to have colleagues like that that are close by. Sure. So.
Makes the days go fast. Yeah. And the school year's about over. And it's went really fast.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. And even when I was in school now, it just seems like every year it just goes a little faster. You know, I'm finishing my 3rd year to being a superintendent.
That doesn't seem possible, does it?
It does not seem possible
No.
at all. But I love you guys talking about your mentors a little bit, because my mentors were probably colleagues of your guys'. So like Ed Birnbaum was a mentor of mine.
Yeah,
you
love
know,
Ed. Yeah,
you
great
know,
person.
it just. I wanted to be like him. I don't want to really him to know that. That kind of
Well, he knows now.
He does know now,
Yeah.
right? But I wanted to be a teacher and a wrestling coach because of him, right?
Yeah.
And then I didn't know if I wanted to be a principal, and the Fort Dodge job came open, and I was a principal. I was being a principal, and that's who I would call for advice. And that's when I was thinking about coming back. Like that's who I called. Just like, hey, what should I do? Like, I got into my first job as a middle school principal, and that's the first person I called, And I've had guys like Sam Mosier and Don Miller who I've kept contact with and stuff. So it's, it's those relationships you built for a really long time. And I had an excellent, similar to you guys have probably really enjoyed your careers at Fort Dodge. It's been up and down. Fort Dodge I think has had a great educational institution. Like I had some great teachers, and my kids have all, I've had a child. I tell everybody I've had a kid go to Butler, ECC, Cooper, middle school, and the high school. I mean, we've touched almost every school. We've not a few, but we've enjoyed. My kids have had a great experience. It seems like they're learning, or they're at least they look and act like they're learning. Their test scores look like they're doing well, So I appreciate you guys sharing that.
You talked about Ed Birnbaum. I have to say something about Ed. He was a great administrator, but he was also pretty mellow. So I don't think I ever saw Ed rattled. I mean, as an administrator, he was just so just steady as a rock. I'm like, how are you not melting down right now? Because most people would, but he was in the right position to be doing what he did. Yeah.
I had to lean on him, unfortunately, when Aaron Miller passed away.
Yes.
I went down there for a little bit, and then I'm like, hey, we got to find somebody to come.
Aaron was a former student of mine.
Yeah.
So he was actually, now his mom's going to get mad at me if I get this wrong, but I believe he was the lion in The Wizard of Oz when we did it a long, long, long time ago. And Aaron and I saw him out before he started back teaching again, and I'm so glad he became a teacher and an administrator because even though in his short time he was an administrator, he left such an impression on those kids. They really still talk about him, actually.
Yep. Yeah. So then that's when we convinced Ed to come back for a short
time.
interim
a little
time.
stint.
A little stint. And he will tell you, one of our questions later will be some changes in education. And he's like, just in a short few years that he'd been out, education has changed.
Changed already. Yeah.
It changes a lot year to year. So another thing, interested just to learn, what's a favorite memory you guys have from your teaching career? Or a tradition, it could be something, or something you look forward to each year. And the last day of school would be a funny answer, but not the
I'd say
answer.
every year homecoming is just, even in the elementary schools, is a tradition that the cheerleaders used to come and sell all of the tattoos and the necklaces and everything, and then the big parade. The kids still love go to the parade.
Yeah.
Then go to the ball game. Another thing that at Feelhaver, we do a store at Christmas.
Yeah.
So for the last month in December, they get to earn Feelhaver dollars for making good choices and doing good things. And then right before Christmas, we have a store. It's like a huge garage sale in the library, and the kids get to come in and buy presents for their families.
Yeah.
And then they're wrapped and everything. They take them home, and that's just a fun tradition at Feelhaver too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really sweet. Mine, I think, we have a few for choir. So the musical, obviously, is a tradition. I would say some of my favorite traditions in choir, because they just are an annual thing. We do a thing called the Candy Cauldron. I'm sure Carson probably talked about this, but every 8th grader or 7th grader or 6th grader, whoever has choir at that time, brings a bag of candy.
Oh,
and then
yes.
if they're supposed to bring just a 20 package bag, but some of them bring the 120 piece. And I have this old cauldron that's like a Halloween cauldron, and they dump it into this. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit that. Dump it into the witch's cauldron We mix it all up, and even if you brought nothing, you all get equal quantities of what has been brought. And we have a Halloween party. That's our big kind of annual tradition. And by the time it's all done, these kids have had like 50 pieces of candy each, and it's insane. And then I send them on to the next teacher and say, "Good luck with that," you know. But and then the other thing we do, like the musical is a big thing, is let's see, we do Just Dance the last 2 days of school. And so the kids, because we're done with our concerts, they like to just dance and sing along with the stuff. And so that's fun. They really enjoy that. And I've got videos of the kids. It's what's neat about that is you can see the kids break out of their comfort zone because they're just, nobody's really watching them. So most of the kids get up and dance. And so that's fun too. Yeah.
The next one, and I have a story about this of my first year of teaching. Something that's just what has changed in teaching over the years that you've been in there, you've been in education. The one experience I have that's changed the most in education is my first year of teaching. I taught at a school in North Mahaska. And at that time, it was similar to my experience when I worked at Walmart. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but they had a lounge for smoking lounge and a non-smoking lounge. So I remember when teachers were smoking, and I was like, I didn't know teachers smoked at school. And then shortly after that, it was very, very shortly after that, the law changed and you could no longer do that anymore. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, there's like a teaching lounge and there was like a side for smokers and non-smokers. I was like, okay. And then that changed and we painted everything and you couldn't smell the cigarette smoke anymore at lunch. And everybody went on to teaching.
I don't think I'd like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, I remember even like the copy machines have changed, how we used to run off the
I was thinking about that too.
Worksheets on the, I think like definitely technology.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have to teach anyone anything about technology now. They come to us knowing about technology. I think everything has advanced as far as what we teach in first grade, I think used to be taught in second grade. I think we teach, things are more advanced now with the kids.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the copy machines actually before I came this morning, and that's that. I don't even know what it was called. It had a drum and you spun it.
And
it had like purple ink instead of like, you could barely read the copies. And they were sort of damp when they came out.
And they would smear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like, and you had to write it on a carbon thing. Your original, you had to write it out you could type on it, but usually you're in a hurry and like, okay, I'm going to make a worksheet. And then the other things that have changed, like, the projector, I mean, we used to have transparencies and, shine that on the wall. And I'm trying to think what else. You talked about the teacher's lounge. Never encountered that, the smoking part of it, but just teachers, I think back when I first started teaching, were a little bit more laid back. And as far as a lot more social, my goodness, a lot more social. I mean, they just like to talk to each other and I mean, I hate to say it, but teaching as it's progressed on in my 40 years has become a lot more stressful. And I see teachers kind of turning inward instead of reaching out to each other. Mm-hmm. And when I think back to Phillips, that old teacher's lounge with the popcorn machine, some of the most valuable conversations I had with my staff, or my colleagues, not my staff, were in that room, bouncing things off each other and just kind of lightening the mood, you know?
Yep.
And so, that's the thing that's changed the most, but I do miss those days. Note to you, if you can get popcorn machines and everybody's teaching, you would probably change the whole dynamic of the school system.
We have one.
Feelhaver has one.
How are you guys? Geez, we got to get one. Middle school needs one.
Middle school needs a popcorn machine.
I remember when they told us that we had to start using slides, PowerPoint slides. And I was like, I cannot do that. Like, I cannot have a slide. And now it's like, I can't imagine teaching without slides.
Yeah. It's a learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I remember the overhead projector, right? And you would write on it, and then you'd reel the thing, and then you could wipe it off and clean it off.
Yeah.
But the other one is the video reels. When we used to show
I was just going to say that movies.
Movies, they came in on
a big reel.
Came in on a big reel. Probably all came from the AEA at the time.
Oh, for sure.
And they'd break every so often, and you'd have to splice them together, and or stop the movie and say, "Sorry, can't go on now."
Yeah, you'd have to learn how to because you'd have to take it and then wrap it into the other reel, and then that's how you played.
Keep it going.
That's how you played the reel. So. Yeah. Well, sometimes we miss that, but I don't think we really miss that. Those type of things. No. Or making copies with, with actual purple ink.
You know you're getting old, though, when someone leans over your shoulder and you're looking at the computer and you're going, I don't know how to do this. And I'm like, okay, click here. And I just feel like a grandma sometimes, which I am a grandma, but, you know, like they're like, pull this tab down. And, you know, so there is a learning curve still to this day. And let's face it, the kids can run circles around all of us. I mean, they know how to break through firewalls and hack the national defense system. And
They're pretty talented when it comes to that stuff. What to you guys makes Fort Dodge School special?
You know, I think we are always doing what's best for kids, and we don't just stay where we're at. Like, we always are trying to do better. So there's lots of opportunities to new curriculums. Like, we don't just stay with the same curriculum. We get new curriculums, and we're learning, you know, more about kids and how they learn. And so we're always advancing as far as that. Yeah.
I think we're a family.
I do too.
I really feel like we're a family. When I got sick, it's been 12 years ago with cancer, the people that rallied around me was incredible. I mean, I didn't anticipate that much outpouring of support and everything, and people reaching out to me that I hadn't spoken to in years that were former students that just said, you know, we're thinking about you. But I saw that with Aaron, you know. I've seen that with just us together as, you know, for sporting events, you know. It's in good times and in bad. So being a Dodger, I think, is just showing that we're there for each other. We show up for each other no matter what.
Yeah, being an AD, so I've been able to, you know, I get to see the musicals and be a part of activities. And then, you know, you go watch athletic events. And I always am surprised in comparison to the amount of people that show up, like for our home events compared to other districts. Yeah. You know, and I think that shows that support, and grandparents come and parents come.
That's
and
right.
If you came to the board meeting last night for our awards, I mean, we probably recognized, I think, 10 people total. The whole entire boardroom was completely full. And you guys know there's probably 50, 60 chairs in there. They're coming in and they're supporting their families, and, you know, they want to listen, and they're clapping, they're taking pictures, and they're super excited. So it's always to see that support. I would agree. And we welcome former Dodgers home really fast. And then you don't have to be from Fort Dodge to be super successful here. I know there's lots of families and teachers that aren't from here that have been here a long time that everybody probably just assumes they're Dodgers. Just
fit in, and
they fit in. They're part of that. So a couple kind of like quick questions here at the end. What's something you're most proud of your time here at Fort Dodge?
I just think about all the students that I have had. I've had a lot of students, taught a lot of students how to read, how to do math. So I just think the number of students that I've had.
I would say with me personally, it's just finding a way to give these kids their voice, whether it be singing or just a voice, period, to be able to be proud of who they are as an individual, as a person. A lot of kids just, when they try out for musical, they're terrified. Like they're just so petrified. And I'll always say to them, what's the worst thing that can happen? You know, I mean, is the world going to stop, you know, turning? Are we all going to, you know, are you going to go into cardiac arrest? I mean, what's going to happen? And they're like, well, people will make fun of me. And I said, I've always said this, that the cowards are the people that sit in the seats and they heckle or they make fun. And the kids that are the brave ones, the ones that are the leaders, are up there and they're doing what they need to do. And I've had so many kids reach back to me through like a little personal note or an email, or sometimes they'll leave something on my whiteboard after a concert from senior high, and they'll just say thank you. And that means a lot, just knowing that you impacted them. Not even though just lifelong love of music is important, yes, but in a way that as a human being, they have taken a step forward in believing in who they are. You know, that's neat.
What advice would you give the next generation of Dodger teachers? We're going to have a new vocal music teacher, a young man coming in.
I work with a new teacher this year.
And you're working with a brand new teacher. What kind of advice do you guys have for those individuals?
I think they have to figure out a way to balance home and school. And I'm not one to give that advice because I don't. But balance, rely on each other, collaborate with each other. Don't think you have to do it all by yourself. Know that everything is not going to turn out perfect every time. I take lots of notes and leave them for the next year. You think you won't, you won't forget, but You know what else I think new teachers need to do? Always keep their class composite picture in a book. Start right away, because then you'll have that and you can look back and remember
all the kids you've had.
Remember all the kids you had.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would say you're right about the balancing thing. I think teachers are terrible at balancing home and work. Yep. Teachers that are really invested, which I'd say all of our teachers are, they pour their whole heart and soul into their job.
Yep.
And then they get home at night and they're so depleted and they're so tired, you know? Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, let's face it, mental health is very important, and having an outlet to do something that you truly love outside of being a teacher is important to do that. But I agree with I wish I would have done that taken a picture of kids, choirs, and classes that I've had. Because honestly, I've had kids come up to me at Hy-Vee and say, hi, do you remember me? And they have like a beard and they're like 7 feet tall. And I'm like, hi. I don't want to tell them that I don't know who they are, because it's kind of embarrassing, but yet I don't know who you are, because in my mind, and I don't know, Susan, if you can agree with this, but they stay the age they were when I had them, I don't see them growing up because I don't see them growing up, and then all of a sudden, they're married.
I've had them at such a young age that they change so much from when I've had them. So I don't always
They don't even look the same.
Yeah.
They don't look the same.
No. So that's cool though, when you think about that, the growth of, they came in so little and now they're adults. I
try to encourage, whether you're just a single teacher or if you have a young family, which was easy for us. So it was like a rite of passage. You just went to things, right? So you either went by yourself or you went with friends from work. You went either did things together or you went to activities. Mm-hmm. I always try, you notice the teachers that end up coming for a year or two and then they leave, they usually don't have a connection. Mm-hmm. And so you can have a connection at school all day long, but it's nice to have that connection outside of school. And so I coached. That was my avenue to get connected with other people and do things. But when we weren't doing that, we always took our family places. It's nice for people to know who your family are and go to school events. And we've had a tradition, my family, we always go to the musicals, but my family loves them and we have a lot of fun at them. But I always try to encourage those individuals to go, attend school events, or at the middle school, you have no idea how impactful it is. Or even now, if you're going to an event that you had a former student, kids absolutely love that. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I try to encourage teachers all the time, while I know it's busy and it's a lot, just even that one event or the one where especially if they see you at it, it's a really big deal.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
What was something that's always in the desk drawer?
Oh, tacky. Tacky to hang up posters.
Do we still
Band-Aids?
Do we still buy tacky around here?
We do.
Do we?
I do, because it's sometimes the only thing that'll stick to the wall.
Stick to the wall.
Yeah.
Band-Aids.
Yeah.
Tacky. What else?
Paper clips for me. Always had to have paper clips. I still have lots of paper clips.
Chapstick.
Chapstick.
Kids get chapped lips.
Yeah.
Lotion too for kids. I have a lot of kids go, do you have any lotion? I'm like, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And then they evaluate the smell of it. I like this one. I don't like that one, And now since COVID, hand sanitizer for sure. Yeah.
Were you guys school lunch eaters, or did you always bring your own lunch?
I always brought my own lunch.
I eat at the middle school off and on. It just depends. Shout out to the cooks. They have the most amazing broccoli salad. And when they're going to have it, they will tell me. They'll reach out and they'll say, broccoli salad today. And I'm like, okay, I'm eating lunch today.
School lunch?
But sometimes I bring from home. Sometimes I just forget, I won't. And then it depends on what's being served. I love the Mexican food they have there, and it just depends.
Yeah.
It's a school lunch, so not a lot of variety, but it's very good. Very good. So
last question. If what do you think students would say about you? If the students had to describe you or say something about you, what do you think they would say?
You want to go first?
I think they would say that I was strict, had high expectations, but I think they would say that they had fun. Mm-hmm. They know that they were loved and cared about, and patient, maybe.
Yeah.
I would say almost the same. I am strict. I mean, I have usually at one time back when I had my largest choirs, it was 130 kids and I was by myself with those kids. And so you kind of become a drill sergeant, you know, a little bit. But in that, mixed with that, it's firm but fair. You know, I always felt I was firm but fair. If kids had a problem with me, they would come back and talk. I'd say, you can always talk to me if you don't feel that went the way you wanted it to. I wanted to always be a person they could come talk to if they needed something. And just knowing that I was a person that they had in their corner no matter what, you know. Even if I didn't agree with them, they didn't agree with me. My family is that way. You know, we may have words, but, you know, I still care about you. I still support you, and I still am there for you if you need me, you know, so.
Which, I've had the opportunity to watch you both in action and visit your classrooms. And I would say that very much. Like, I mean, I go to a lot of elementary classrooms and everybody does a really good job, but I know that kids are usually on task in Miss Winter's classroom, and they're usually pretty quiet, and they're like, "Oh, hey, the superintendent's here." You know, I disrupt class much more than the kids actually disrupt class. So, you know, because I'll be talking, or someone will be like, "Hey, you work at the ECC?" Yeah, of course I do, because I saw them the year before, and obviously you have large numbers of classes, and walking through the middle school, I can see that. My daughter was in choir in the middle school and things like that. So. Once again, this podcast is proudly sponsored by CNOS and UnityPoint Orthopedics, valued partners of Fort Dodge Community Schools. Their commitment to student athletes' health helps keep our program strong and our kids competing safely. Thank you for supporting Dodger Nation. All right. Well, thanks again for joining me. Couple last questions as we finish up. So I'm excited to ask this. I know you guys probably have tons of memories of your experience and education, but what is one of the funniest memories that stands out for the both of you?
Okay, I could probably write a book, but the funniest one was one of my first years at Feelhaver, and it was Halloween, and so it was time to put costumes on. So I told the kids, go ahead, go get your costumes, find a spot in the room where yours isn't going to get mixed up with anyone else's. And so I said, okay, let's get your costumes on. And I turned around and I went in the coat closet to go help a little boy get his out of his bag. And the parent that was helping me, she comes over and taps me on the shoulder. And she said, is this what you meant? Is this normal? And I turned around and they had all taken their clothes off. And they were all standing there in their underwear. To put their costumes on. I never thought they would get undressed. And so I said, oh no, that's not really what I meant. But the kids didn't think a thing of it. They didn't, and it was a long time ago, and they didn't think a thing of it. So now every year at Halloween, I think of that, and I make sure I say, boys and girls, we're going to put our costumes on over our clothes today. So that's one of my funny memories.
That's hilarious.
That's a good one.
Joan?
I would say when I first started teaching at Phillips, the stage there obviously is kind of higher. Ours has steps leading up to it now. And so the choir was on stage, and I wanted to see if the height was right and everything. So I got down on the floor, went back, and I looked, and I wanted to be sure they were centered and everything. And I wanted to be cool. So I thought I'd run and kind of leap up on the stage, sort of, and totally underestimated my abilities. And I got hooked up half on the stage, half off the stage, kind of laying flat out in front of all the kids. And the kids, they, of course, were laughing. And, of course, at that point, you just have to laugh at yourself.
Right.
So that's a funny one. And then I would say probably another funny one is I had God love boys. I mean, I don't have a son. I have two daughters.
Yep.
I have a grandson. But during the musical one year, I had a kid put his clothes on. He had never worn a full suit, vest, everything.
Oh, yeah.
He put if I can describe this, he put the shirt on inside out. So the buttons were buttons.
Oh.
I don't even know how he did it. And then he had the vest on inside out. The coat was on normal. So that was kind of funny. And then I started thinking, I think I know why, because whenever my kids would throw their clothes in the laundry, it was always inside out. I don't know if you know this, so maybe that's the only way he knew.
How to put them on.
So
I was teaching an outdoor pursuits class one time, my first year teaching, and the last day of school, I decided we would ride bikes because that's what we did for outdoor pursuits, and I would buy them all ice cream. So I bought my class ice cream. It was like 20 kids, and we were going to ride our bikes back home. And two of the boys were like, "Hey, let's race back." And I bought, so I was one of the last ones. So I'm like, "Yep, sounds good." So we just start taking off, and I am talking smack to these high school kids, and I'm looking back on the bike, and I hit the sidewalk, I hit it. And I rolled about 4 times and I rashed my face, my arm.
Oh,
I'm bleeding.
no.
I'm bleeding everywhere. I wasn't going to show any weakness. I jumped back up. I got on the bike. I was in so much pain.
Did they
I was
blaze
so
past
bad.
you? Did they even
Oh,
stop?
they didn't even stop. They just kept on going, laughing at me.
Boy, that's scary.
I got there. My shirt's ripped. I got blood everywhere. I go to the principal.
no.
I'm like, hey, class is about over. It was the last period of the day of the last school
So
day.
never talk smack.
I was
right?
not. Yeah, I learned my lesson really fast. Really fast. Last question, then you guys have been doing this a really long time. When did you know, like, hey, this is the year that I'm going to retire? And I'm sure you've thought about it for a few years, maybe.
My husband retired. He's been retired for 7 years. And so I just think I always knew when I was eligible, I would probably retire too.
Yeah.
And so, that was I became eligible and yeah.
I would say the same thing. I'm with IPERS and everything. You look at that and you look at the whole financial part of it. And another thing is that with my job, it's just, as you get older, it's more taxing, I mean, it's not like, and in your job too, because you have the little kids. So, and I always said to myself, I don't ever want to get to a point where it feels like I'm not enjoying it anymore. And so I'm not at that point at all, not even close, but I felt like I was at an age where it was the right move. So
I would say watching you guys both still really enjoy teaching.
Yeah.
Will you do any subbing? No.
And I'm teaching somewhere else. So no.
Yes. You're going to teach somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am too.
Yeah. There you go. See, there you go.
Yeah. So we're
always
done.
Retiring, but not really. We're retiring from the district.
Not
but
quite, yeah.
Retiring,
Ready.
yes.
Yeah.
Because then there's opportunities once you retire to
Right.
do
Well,
some other things.
With IPERS, it's a great deal. So you got to take advantage of it if you can. So
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. As we close out, just a few reminders. Graduation is Saturday, May 23rd at 7:30 p.m. at Dodger Stadium. So we turn the lights on. It cools off a little bit. So in May, we never know. We've had graduation on Sunday afternoons at 11 at one point, and it was like 100 degrees. Almost unbearable to be there, especially if you're on the turf. And so we did move to Saturday nights, and that's been a really, really good change. Last day of school is Thursday, May 28th. So we get out 2 hours early. We have our teachers work on the 29th and then June 1st. So teachers' last day is June 1st. Will you guys be cleaned out by June 1st, do you think?
No.
I think I will. I mean, I have a lot of stuff, but the stuff isn't mine necessarily.
Yeah.
It's more costumes and stuff from plays. And can I give one plug?
Yeah.
For upcoming concert for middle school? 6th grade needs to be there. The concert's at 6:00.
Yep.
7th and 8th at 7:00, and honor choir will be performing at both concerts. So if that's confusing to parents, I apologize. But they perform at both because the 6th grade would have a very short concert if not.
Yeah.
And then also to help alleviate parking issues, we were having all of the 6th grade parents park in the north parking lot for their concert, and all the 7th and 8th grade parents park in the south parking lot for their concert.
Perfect.
So we had a huge issue with that at the holiday time. So hopefully that'll help. But so I'm hoping to see that everybody there.
What's the date of that concert?
That's the 19th. The 19th is a week from today.
So a week from today. So Tuesday, May 19th.
Yep.
Perfect. District track is Thursday night. So district track meet. So they go to Waukee Northwest. I think our first baseball and softball games are a week from yesterday. So this coming Monday, which happens really fast.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So lots of things happening and going on across the district. So once again, thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for joining today's podcast. If you're a parent, student, or a proud Dodger, thanks again for listening. Go Dodgers.
Thank you for listening to the Dodger Download, your source for all things Fort Dodge schools. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and share with your friends, family, and fellow Dodgers. For more update and resources, visit us at fdschools.org or follow the Fort Dodge Community School District on social media. Until next time, keep showing that Dodger pride. This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.